So Brian is my favorite lender, and I've worked with a lot of them. So, like, he's definitely on the ball, has a good team. I trust him with my people. It's good to have those good people in your corner and on your list.
Appreciate that.
So, hi. Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
It's good to see you guys. I'm excited to be here. I'm going to park myself over here so I can move the slides. All right, so this is kind of a different class. This is the class I developed. My name's Ashley, by the way. Maybe I should say that. And I'm calling it Quiet Success. It's about being an introvert in real estate and how you can use that to your advantage. If you are, some of us are more introverts, some of us are more extroverts. We're gonna take a quiz. We're gonna have fun, okay? So, a little bit about my story. Do stop me if you have questions. It's meant to be interactive. So I started in real estate in 2013. I'm still in production now. I was working 50, 60 hours a week, doing everything I was taught to do. I had quit my job, so I was working full-time in real estate. And I sold one whole house after all that work and all those calls. It was awful. So I did that for the first year, year and a half. Right at the beginning of my third year in real estate, I had some things happen that made me realize I was an introvert. I read this book called Quiet that is amazing, and everyone should read it, because even if you're not an introvert, you're still interacting with them in the world. We make up about 50% of the population, so you probably have people in your family and certainly have clients who are more introverted, so it's helpful to see both sides of the coin. So I read that book. The author is Susan Cain. Highly recommend it. It's called Quiet. And I was like, oh my God, I'm an introvert. I had no idea. I had no clue. So once I understood that, I was able to make some changes in my business and my life. And what happened was, I changed my lead gen strategy, how I've scheduled myself and my energy management, and going from year 2 to year 3, my business quadrupled. So that was a big deal for me. I was like, okay, I can finally breathe and do this. And by the way, I was working probably 30 hours a week during that year, much higher quality of life. And then last year I had my best year. I sold 15 units for about $7 million in volume, still keeping that 30 hours a week. So the kicker here is having that realization that I am an introvert and realizing what that means for my business. So that's kind of what the information that I've developed into this course I want to share with you guys. So what to expect today. We're going to define what's an introvert and what's an extrovert, discover where you fall on the scale, decide how to lead generate in the most productive way for you. It might not look the same for all of us in the room because we are all different, and that's okay. Understand your energy, how to use it to your advantage. Learn how to structure your own calendar to maximize your own energy. And hopefully have fun and get your questions answered. How does that sound?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great, fantastic. All right.
You're alive, I promise.
What's that?
We're alive, I promise.
I know. It's
We're just
Monday.
introverts.
We're just introverts.
Yes.
Love it. So let's define this. An introvert is a person who gets their energy from being alone. That's it. That's the definition. Doesn't mean we're shy. Doesn't mean we don't like people or that we're not social. Brad was just saying how he thinks I'm very social. I am. And I'm also an introvert. So that's straight up the definition. An extrovert is someone who gets their energy from being around other people. So imagine you're at the end of a long day, you're tired, your energy is like way down here. What sounds more appealing? Going home and being by yourself and not talking to anyone, or going to a networking event and talking to 200 people? I don't know, just think about it, and that will kind of guide you, and that's part of what the quiz is about too. So there is a thing called an ambivert, which is somebody who's kind of right in the middle. There's not as much research on that because it's kind of a new concept, but it is a thing. And it's important to remember it's all scale. So during this hour I'm going to be talking in very sweeping generalizations. Not everything I say is going to apply to everyone, because we're all human, we're all different, and yeah, it's important to understand some of these differences. So we're all a combination of both. Has anyone taken the DISC assessment? We're familiar with this? Okay, so this is kind of like that, where we're all a combination of all the 4 different disc profiles, just whatever one you naturally lead with. And it'll go back and forth based on your situation and whatever time of day, if you've had enough food to eat. But in general, there's one that's like your more natural one. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. All right, let's take the quiz. Does everyone have a quiz? Please, I think you do. Raise your hand if you don't have these pieces of paper. All right, so take this quiz real quick. Power through it. Go with your gut. Don't overthink it. Let me just make sure I have a copy too. No, the quiz is this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking about doing a Facebook Live during this, but I'm not going to.
Why not? Do it.
All right, fine. I'll do it. Good. Let's do it. Is everyone okay with me doing a quick Facebook Live here?
Sure.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Why not? All right, let's do it. My coach is going to be so proud of me.
Good.
I'm going to shout out to him. Hey guys, I'm here at Century 21 in, where are we, Westboro, and woohoo, yay! Teaching my introvert class, and right now we are, let's turn this around, taking the quiz. Look at all those diligent students taking the quiz. And we're going to find out who's an introvert and who's an extrovert. I would say stay tuned, but I'm not coming back to do this again. So. All right, that's all I got. Bye. That
That was awesome.
was ridiculous.
That was
That
real.
makes me think you're not an introvert, because you can stand up in front of everybody,
Yeah.
do a Facebook Live, and then teach a class.
I appreciate that. I take that as
People love that because it's real.
Yeah.
It is real.
If it's too scripted, too perfect,
I like how I forgot what town we were in.
It's authentic.
that's good. Yeah, authentic.
It's
Yeah.
not like I didn't live in Westboro for a couple of years.
Authenticity.
All right, it's like school, so when you're done, look up.
Okay, try to be honest on this.
Good. Did you try or did you
I
intend?
tried. There is no try.
There is no try, that's right. I forgot to bring my master key with me here.
Well, I thought it was a couple pages.
No, just the one. Awesome. Okay. Who needs more time? Pretty much good? Alright. So what I'm going to do, follow along with me. I'm going to read you which answer is like the more introvert answer, generally. So follow along and you can write like a little I or a little E depending on which one you have marked. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So for number 1, the more introvert answer is B. Dinner with your best friend. For number 2, it's A. 3A. 4B. 5B.
Go back to 4, which one is the
4 is,
introvert?
4 is B.
Okay.
And 5 is also B. 6 is A. 7B. 8A. 9 and 10 are both B.
Please say the last few again.
Yep, 7 is B, 8A, 9B, and 10 can be. So if you have the majority I answers, you might be more of an introvert. If you have the majority extrovert answers, you might be more of an extrovert. Is anyone surprised? Yeah?
I am introvert.
Are you?
Wow.
Tell us about that.
Isn't that surprising?
That is surprising.
Yeah, just, well, I don't like the networking stuff. So just, there were certain ones that I answered as an introvert, but obviously my personality is kind of out there and.
And you know what? That's a perfect example because personality, how you are in the outside, doesn't necessarily dictate where you get your energy from. We don't walk around with like a giant I or an A on our forehead, so it's hard to tell just from knowing someone unless you know them really, really intimately. You know, your spouse, you probably would know. None of us have spouses, but few. You probably know like what they are, but if you're just meeting someone or if you're just coworkers, you might not know unless you have a very honest conversation. That's a good one. Anyone else surprised by their results? No? Alright, cool. So that's the quiz. Alright, so why are we talking about this? Why did John let me come talk to you about this? The point is, it's about understanding yourself and others, like the DISC or other personality assessments. We kind of went over that already. There are many ways to be successful in real estate. Doesn't have to all look the same. So figure out what works for you, embrace your path, don't fight it. If you fight it, you're going to be exhausted. We'll talk more about that. It's not about changing who you are. So who found out on their quiz or who already knew that they're more introverted? Don't be shy. Are you serious or are you messing with me?
I'm not. I'm totally serious.
That's awesome. Welcome to the club.
Just 'cause he hates people.
I just hate people.
That's not what it means. Have you learned nothing?
That's why he needs the class.
Okay, that's fine. It's the beginning of the class. We'll come back to that later. Just got my eye on you, Brad. So it's not about changing who you are. Oh, sorry guys. Hello. It's Zillow calling. Okay. Forcing yourself to fit into an extrovert box is not productive. I've tried to do it. It's not good. It can lead to frustration, exhaustion, and eventually burnout. Who's been in real estate for over like 3 years? Okay. Have you guys ever gotten close to burning out and just being completely done?
Depends on the deal.
Well, right. It's a pretty natural thing. So anything we can do to like stay away from that burnout line is good. So I want to hear from you guys. Who has experienced any of this frustration or exhaustion? How did you feel? How did it affect your business? Let's talk it out. Has anyone ever felt frustrated in business?
Am I the only extrovert in the group? No, I'm not. So I'll talk. So, I was at the point of burnout many years back and just people running me all over the place, not managing the clients, not managing my energy, not giving to my family, and I ended up getting very sick as a result. And I was forced to focus on myself and to take care of my energy and my stuff. So that's what happened to me, and I still struggle with the balance.
Yeah.
But,
I think we all do. Thank you for sharing. That's a really powerful story because you're right. You didn't have a choice.
I think it's also just this time of year, we all get so involved in working with the clients that you don't necessarily take the time for yourself. So I think it's probably pretty common this time of the year for people to just put their own needs aside when, even though we know deep down we shouldn't do that, it's just, there's only so many hours in the day and you have calls and texts and emails and you're just trying to stay on top of things. So I think, even though I'm an extrovert, I still can start to feel that frustration, when 6 o'clock comes around and you're finally home and you're making dinner and then now you gotta answer your phone or whatever. So I think that's not just introverts that feel that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some of this stuff applies across the board.
Right.
I do want to talk about for a second, you brought up a good point, and that's managing client expectations and just straight up, like, protecting our time and saying no to people.
Right.
Is this a challenge for anyone else? Especially, I find it with buyers and wanting to go run out and do showings.
Like, can I go in an hour?
No, you cannot. And here are the reasons why.
Right.
So I think it's really important to set expectations with our clients ahead of time and just say, listen, I'm going to give you my full attention, and I have other appointments on this day, so no, I can't show you this house in an hour. The house won't even be ready in an hour because the seller has to get their 5 dogs and children out of the house, so they need time to prepare. And we need time to just get everything coordinated. So I tell people at least 24 hours. And what I've started telling people is that I will always find somebody to get you in when you want to see it. Might not always be me. So that's worked out really well, like just paying somebody else to do it, especially if it's far away.
Yeah.
And I don't want to drive an hour and a half, whatever. I'll like pay somebody else to go show it, and they don't care. All they're doing is opening the door. So that's a good way to kind of protect your time. So, what are the advantages to being an introvert? There's a few things. I didn't make these up. I took these from other places, and they're not to say that the extroverts don't do this. This is just like introvert things that you can be like, yeah, we have powers. We make strong connections and build strong relationships. We follow up often. We're very genuine. We don't come off as salesy or pushy. We're great listeners. We ask meaningful, deep questions. And we spend time preparing and planning, paying close attention to detail. So for the introverts in the room, these are things that you can really grab onto and say, yes, I'm probably more naturally inclined to do these things well. Let me like really tap into that and do that well and look at this as a strength. And extroverts are good at these things too. It's just a little different. Okay, let's talk about lead gen. Who loves cold calling?
No one.
There are people.
Eric does.
There
I
are
like it.
He likes making friends.
Yeah.
There's like a
I
small
call it
percentage
warm
of people who
calling.
love it. You call it warm calling?
I just made that up.
Is it like Bikram? You turn the heat up in the room and then it's a warm calling? So who are you calling?
Agents like yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the team leader, so yeah. I called Ed Bart not too long ago, right?
Yeah. It worked out well. That was good. Cool. So there's nothing wrong with cold calling. For the people who can do it well and they enjoy it, awesome. It's not the only way to do business. It's not. Here's a list, not exhaustive, of a few things that are out there for you. Let me actually get a sense of who's in the room. Who's been in the business for less than a year? No? But where are you guys at? You're like a couple years in?
No, like almost
A year?
yeah,
Okay.
a few weeks.
Okay, cool. So you probably have heard of a lot of these. I'll just go through them. Cold calling, expires for sale by owners, door knocking, networking, farming, calling your database, client parties, advertising, one-on-one meetings, allied resources like Brian, and social media. So if you could do any one of these things or something that I forgot, what would that one thing be? If you could just do one and make all the money in the world, what would it be?
Social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Advertising.
Advertising? What sort of advertising would you do?
Social media.
Let's put that under the social media category here.
I like the one-on-one meetings.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, the theory is anyways that, you're cultivating relationships and building a two-way referral stream, based on, meeting a key group of people in your sphere of influence.
Absolutely.
And sometimes news as you go along.
So let me ask you, how many one-on-one meetings do you do in a typical week?
Not enough.
That's an honest answer.
It's very awesome. I try to do month, just do them all the same day.
That's smart. That saves you a lot of driving time.
It does, yeah.
All right.
But it's
I know that.
sometimes difficult to coordinate, get everybody lined up.
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you get everyone lined up, that's great. You could also break it up and maybe do 2 on one day, 3 on another day.
Right.
Whatever, but I like the goal of 5 a month. That's a
Mhm.
solid, let's stick with that if you like it. Who else wants to share?
I also think client parties would be really fun, but I just don't know how I could do enough of those with my number of past clients. They'll be like, oh, you want us to come over again? Okay.
Don't you have any friends? You need some friends.
That's a very common reaction to the client parties.
Right.
So a few of my coaching clients right now are in that same boat. One of them has only had a couple sales, and she's like, what am I gonna do, invite 3 people to the party? No, so you can invite, obviously, your past clients. You can invite any people who have referred you business.
Yeah.
Allied resources are great, your favorite vendors, people who've made the transaction come together. And I would also invite, go through your database and make sort of a VIP list. Invite everyone who you know would refer you if they had the chance.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people in your lives, everyone.
Right.
Like, there are people who are gonna refer you business, they just don't meet buyers and sellers right away, yeah.
So you could look at that client party as a different type and have like a housewarming party for the clients when they move in and have them invite their
Theirs,
friends and
yeah,
family, but
yeah.
you
That's great.
sponsor it.
I like
And then
that.
you get to meet all of them. So just another way to look at that.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
That's good.
Wow.
That's a good one.
That's smart.
I've only done one of those. I always present it to people. I don't always want it, but it's a good thing to do, and then you can meet all their friends.
If they're extroverts, they might want to.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. And the one time that we made it happen, it was great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Good idea. Thanks for bringing that up. So it doesn't have to just be clients that you invite to these parties. If you really wanted to, you can invite your coworkers. You can invite your friends and invite your neighbors. There's a guy I work with who did for Christmas, he rented some, what is the name of those horses that they have in the beer commercials?
Clydesdale,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so he found somebody that would rent Clydesdales and do like a sleigh ride around his neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah, and he went around the neighborhood with his kids and invited everyone. They had like 100 people come to this thing.
Oh, wow.
And now he's gonna make it an annual thing.
I bet.
Cost him, I don't know, $500 or something, and it just, so you could do anything. It doesn't really matter what the thing is. I love that idea. It's so unique.
That's awesome.
Anyway, the point is, pick the thing that you like, or at least the thing you don't hate. Of this list, like, you might only have 1 or 2 things that you don't hate doing, and that's okay. Pick those things, put them in your calendar, work on them every day. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're consistent. That's the key, consistency, right? And make sure they're in your calendar every work day. I should have underlined that. Not on your days off. We'll talk about days off. All right, any questions at this point?
Will we have access to these slides?
I can send it to you guys. Well, I can send it to John. You're welcome. As long as you guys promise not to steal it, because I haven't like copyrighted it yet.
I have to
Just
trade
kidding.
it for a testimonial.
What's that?
Everyone who gives a testimonial, a video testimonial, gets a copy of the
Ooh.
slide.
Oh.
It's a fair trade.
It is fair.
Wouldn't
yes.
you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
all right.
I would agree. Good tie down.
Yes.
So yes, anyone, now officially that's the thing. Anyone who does video testimonial for me gets a copy of the slides. Love it. Okay, so let's talk about energy. For introverts, replenishing energy is just as important to schedule and make time for as anything else in our calendars, because it's not going to naturally happen in your day. You're not going to all of a sudden find 3 hours to be by yourself in a quiet space. You have to plan for that. Each person is different, so paying attention to your own energy is important, and plan your schedule accordingly. So one way to do this is to start a journal and just kind of keep a log of how your energy is throughout the day. And I don't mean like woo-woo fairy crystals energy. I mean like legit your energy that you are bringing to your life. It's affected by your exercise, and your nutrition, your calorie intake. Have you guys heard the word hangry?
Yeah.
That relates to energy. You feel that bad because your energy is way down here, and then you eat a banana and you're like, okay, I don't feel like I'm gonna die. So that's the energy we're talking about. So keep a journal for a couple weeks of every day, write down, here's how I'm feeling, here's what I did, here's something that really sucked my energy dry. Like if you go to a big event, and then this is a personal example. If I go to some big networking event, I love it, and then I come home and I'm completely exhausted. And there have been times when I don't even want to drive home because I'm too tired to drive back to my house. So those are things to just be aware of in yourself. And then once you'll start to notice patterns, and they're all going to be different, but you'll notice a pattern for yourself, and then you can take that and put it into your schedule. So if you know that if you have, so I do a lot of one-on-one meetings too. If I know that if I have 3 of them in one day, I'm going to be done. So I try to schedule only 2. If I have to have a 3rd, I'm not doing anything after that because I'm going to be no good to anyone. I'm going to be irritable, and I'm tired and cranky, and just it's not good. So if you can plan your schedule around that. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So your schedule might not look like the traditional realtor's schedule. It might not be get up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. That's not how it is for me. I've tried that. I lasted like a couple days. I tried, and then I was like in the office for 8 making my calls, and I'm like, no, I can't, this is not my life. So if that is awesome, I admire you, I can't do it. The point is, if that's not your schedule, figure out what does work for you. And don't worry if it doesn't look like your neighbors or your coworkers. When I say neighbor, I mean like your desk buddy in the office. If they're giving you grief because you're not here, I should say this while John's not paying attention. If they're like giving you grief because you're not here at 8 a.m. every day on the phone, like tell them to back off. Be like, I'm doing this my way. So I want to hear from you guys again. What does a typical day look like for you now? How does it affect your energy? What's working, what's not?
I find I definitely have more energy in the morning. You know, after, I wouldn't want a listing appointment at night. I mean, I would do it, but it wouldn't be my best. You know, definitely would be better in the morning. I
That's
don't
a
know, hard
really
for other
important
people.
thing to know about yourself.
Yeah, just as the day goes on, it just get more, you know, just get less and less.
I think that's normal though.
Yeah.
It is. It is normal. I mean, I suppose for some people it could be flip-flop. Some people are good in the morning. But that's important to know about yourself, and so I'm sure as you're going through your day, or you're planning out your week, you can make sure to not put all your really important stuff at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, especially in the winter when it's dark.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
whoa,
tough.
that's awful.
Good point.
And cold.
Mhm.
So you're already doing this a little bit. That's awesome. Anyone else want to share about their schedule?
I do a lot of paperwork, computer work at night,
Yeah.
so I can get caught up in that, and then it's all of a sudden it's midnight, 1 in the morning. So
Does that work for you?
it makes it harder the next day.
Mm-hmm.
It does make it harder to get a good jump on the day, the next day.
What time would you need to go to bed to make it a good day?
11, I think.
Okay. You now have a bedtime. 11 o'clock.
After curfew.
11 o'clock, phone and computer need to go off. Can you do that?
I think they have to go off before that. 'cause
Okay,
I'll be,
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
be,
yeah. How about
I'll be
10?
thinking about
How
it for
10 o'clock?
hours.
Dude, I'm not checking my email past like 6:30.
It's really, you do really need to shut the electronics off.
Yes, you do. And it's hard for us because we feel guilty. There's so much guilt in this business, you guys. It's unnecessary. If we don't answer our phone, it's like, oh,
Where were you?
I'm not doing 30 million this year because I didn't answer my phone past 7. No, that's not correct. That's not how it works. But that's the story we tell ourselves, right? At least that's what I do. All right, bedtime for you.
Okay.
What's a realistic time you could shut your phone off?
I think 10 is, I can shut my phone off at 10.
Okay.
That means no
Nine for me.
Facebook, no
No Facebook, no email.
That counts, that's part of it?
No Snapchat.
If the phone is off.
I wanted to be there.
Let me know.
No texting?
No texting.
It's gonna be hard.
Yes.
9 p.m. for me.
9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are way staying up later than I am,
Yeah.
but that's all right.
Because
Nice.
maybe you are in the middle of something. So
I'm gonna text you at
Yeah.
9:30 to test you.
I won't answer.
If you do airplane mode too, then it's really, you're not distracted, 'cause nothing can get in.
There's a do not disturb function. My phone doesn't ring after 8 p.m. or before 8 a.m.
I like that.
Perfect.
But you're on Facebook and stuff till late.
I'm just saying,
Get called out with
as far as
stuff.
business goes,
Right.
it shuts off at 8 for my clients.
I love that. That's so important, and it doesn't, I'm giving you guys a hard time, it doesn't matter what time it is. As long as you have a set time that works for you. And you can trial and error this too. If you try 10 and it doesn't work and you need to adjust it, then just adjust it. Right? The point is doing what works for you. Okay, so let's talk about more energy stuff. So things that drain you. I am going to ask to hear from you guys. To jog your memory, I wrote down 5 things that drain me. Making phone calls, doesn't matter what the phone call is. Large networking events or conferences, having difficult conversations, too many one-on-one meetings in one day, and too much noise. I was at this axe throwing thing yesterday. I left early because it was too loud. It was driving me crazy, so I had to get out of there. So those are the things that drains me. And it's funny, now that I'm aware of this, I could feel it. I was there for about 45 minutes and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna make it to the end. I'm just not. So I made sure I threw my axes and then said goodbye and was out of there. So what are some things that drain your energy? Yeah.
Cold calling. Just for it expires. When you're non-productive, obviously when you get a winner, it's like hitting the lottery.
Yeah.
You feel like $1,000,000,
Mhm.
but, just the.
Lack of contact.
And then, yeah, a lot of folks aren't answering, or the data is not really, pure, so, nice females.
So is cold calling a big factor in your lead gen plan?
Yes.
Okay. You know it's okay if it's not?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the whole point of this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm here.
I know,
I'm
I
hoping
love
for
it.
the-
I'm so
hoping
glad
for
you're
the,
here. I'm
for the
glad you're-
alternative.
The
I'm looking
alter-
for it.
well, I
Looking for
think-
that magic.
I think
bullet.
we found the magic bullet for you. It's those one-to-one meetings.
Yeah.
Those can be extremely productive. Like, you sit with someone for an hour and you really get to know them and build that trust level. There's no reason they're not gonna refer you unless they have a million family members and they feel loyal to them, but then
Right.
they're not your people anymore.
Nope.
So, I think that's a great one. What else? Other draining activities? Yeah.
Too many one-on-one meetings in a day, more than one listing appointment in a day
That's a good one.
can be very draining. It takes up a lot of your follow-up time and email time and phone call time, because not only are you there for the meeting, but you have the preparation, you have the travel back and forth to the appointment. And if you have 2 or more of those in a day, you're, like what Brad was saying, I'm up till 1 o'clock returning your emails and all those things, so it can be very energy draining. And then it's hard to get up the next morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so let's pick it back up. What replenishes you? What gets your energy back up? The reason we're going through this, by the way, is so you can start to think about yourself and maybe make little lists and keep that very handy and make sure that you're baking these things in your calendar. Baking these things, not the draining things. Those are gonna come up naturally, but you can avoid them. So a few things that are mine are going to the beach by myself, binge watching Netflix, cooking a nice meal, I usually have some wine and listen to Frank Sinatra. The whole thing just works really well, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
And usually I'm by myself too. Sometimes there'll be a boy there, but usually it's by myself. Yoga classes and reading a book. So those are the things that I know are my go-tos. And if I know I'm going to have a really draining couple days in a row, I will specifically take a day off and do this stuff.
How about vacations?
Vacations are good. So the thing about vacations, they're so important. I'm not going to talk about them a lot today because vacations are really easy to keep your vacation time. It's easy to protect that time because you're usually going somewhere, you bought plane tickets, you're not going to blow off your vacation to go show a house. It's the days off that are hard to protect. Because you look at your calendar and someone's like, oh, can you meet with me on Friday? You're like, sure, I have nothing to do on Friday. Yes, you do. You have an entire day appointment. That's not negotiable, and that's where a lot of us struggle. So vacations, yes. Everyone should be taking at least one big vacation a year. Don't bring your phone. You have a great office of people who can cover for you, right? You all work together, okay. So, yeah.
I had backups for my backups this time, so I didn't have to worry at
Wow.
all. I
Genius.
had 3 layers of backups.
It was very
Perfect.
impressive.
I was just like, there's nothing is gonna drop for my clients. It's gonna be like as if I was in town, so,
Yeah, exactly. And then what does that do for you when you're on vacation?
yeah, I didn't have to get the internet package, I didn't have to worry, I was just there.
Everything worked out, right?
It worked out.
And that's the ultimate way to like replenish yourself and then come back a better version, a better Asian, you know? I hear so many people go on vacation and they're doing work on vacation. I'm like, that's not a vacation. It doesn't count.
John
Is
Miller.
Marlene here?
John Miller.
Do you do that? Well, you
Oh my
do. You were
gosh, I
answering my
do.
calls on vacation.
Well, it was, yeah. It wasn't work. It was, yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to justify everything.
Busted.
I take that as a compliment. I'm not, my calls aren't work. Okay.
I'm one of those people. Work is my hobby.
I know. Well, I have this note. So Brian, the lender, has
Say the
a,
truth.
he's starting a podcast, and I was on his podcast the other day, and so we were talking about this, and he's like, I have to work on my vacation, otherwise I can't relax. And I think he needs to just leverage Sarah and the people in his office a little more so he can actually shut it down.
Yeah, cause he's 24/7, he said.
He's 24/7, right. So that's great for us, having him as our lender. It's not great for him, so I was trying to coach him on his own podcast. I don't know if you-
That's great.
I'm gonna work
So-
on John.
What's that?
We'll get him vacationing.
Okay,
on
you guys can all
vacation.
help each other with this too.
Mhm.
Keep each other accountable. If someone says, I'm taking this vacation, say, great, let me cover for you. You just work it out. What I do is I have 1 or 2 people who I trust, and we'll either swap it out, I cover for them, they cover for me, or if I know it's gonna be pretty labor intensive, like it's a couple buyers, I'll just say, here's the fee, I'll pay you per hour. Keep track of your hours, I'll write your check when I get home. It's super easy, it works really well. So, yes, vacations are important. Book them first, like, book the next few months, book something, and turn your phone off, please. Not for me, for yourself. Just trust me, it's gonna make it so much better. And days off, so, yeah, we're gonna talk about calendaring, it's very important. Does anyone use time blocking and color coding for their calendar now?
Yes.
Yeah, good, okay. That is one of the best things you can do. And the reason is it not only keeps you organized, but it also allows you to have a visual of how much time you're spending on each thing, right? So my categories are, I have green for real estate stuff. It used to be all business until I started this second business, and then I broke it up. Green for money, so green for anything related to your business. I use pink for my personal time. I use blue for my coaching company, so I can keep track of how much time I'm spending on each. And then I use purple for buyer and seller appointments. And so if I look at my calendar in a week, and I see that it's all green and blue and there's no pink, then I have to go back in and add things for myself. It's a really cool visual, and I'm old school, I use it, that's why I have my hands like this. I use a paper calendar. So I open my calendar, I'm like, oh crap, there's nothing for myself this week. That's not good. Let me add things in, or even move things around to make sure that I have enough. It has to be balance. Okay. So use one color for business things, one for family things. I don't have a family, so all those go into me time. And one color for just you things. Just you. So each week, look at your calendar and make sure the colors are balanced. You can look at this week, you can look at next week. The further out you plan, the easier it'll be to get this stuff into your calendar. If you have all green, all work stuff, reschedule to make some room for you stuff. Don't skimp on the pink, you guys. If you're a boy, you can use blue. Doesn't matter what the color is, okay? Just pick one. If you skimp on the pink stuff, you're gonna burn out. Nina, do you have any parting words of wisdom?
Well, I just gave you a testimonial. I was going to say there was a lot of takeaways, even for an extrovert, because my quiz was all E's except for 2. So I wish that I could stay. I think that the calendar is really important. I know for me, I'm like the first one. Like, I got a text this morning, and I'm supposed to have like a block of time tomorrow while my son's at school, and somebody wants to go see a house, and I was so close to canceling my massage and canceling whatever else I was going to do, and I looked, and luckily the house is not available to be seen till Friday, luckily. But I am guilty of just canceling my stuff and putting work in there, and I know that's definitely going to lead to burnout and not be doing me any favors in the long run. So I think great content.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll have to get lunch soon.
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
let you know when I've made it.
Okay, cool.
Bye, everybody.
And I'm proud of you for
Bye.
keeping your
Okay.
massage.
I know, I'm excited.
Next time you
Enjoy.
just be like, no, I can't show you, I have an
I'm not
appointment.
available. Right, because I do have an appointment.
I have
There's
an
no
They don't know
I have
who
an
it's
appointment
with.
myself.
Nice to see you.
All right.
Bye.
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 Take care.
So that's a good example. Nina got lucky because the house wasn't available, but it's so easy to do that because we think that if we say no, then people are gonna go find someone else to work with. And that's just not the case. I mean, your clients like you, they wanna work with you, and you're not gonna say, no, never, I'm never gonna show you this house. That's not what you're saying. You're gonna say, sorry, I'm not available then, how about this time or this time? Propose some other times. And if you can't make it work, then, help each other out and list backup. I'll pay you $25 to go show this house for me, whatever, So, if you burn out, you're doing a disservice to everyone, yourself, your family, your clients. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. And I speak from experience, because I was guilty of this for many years. Alright, questions about this? Or thoughts?
So this is a question kind of about energy. So thinking about John gets his energy from work. So is that because he's an extrovert, or how do you balance that? Because I agree with you that it's not selfish that we have to take time for ourselves, but how does that work when you get your energy from actually being productive and working?
So, I'll answer and then I'll let John speak for himself.
Well, not just him. I'm just saying, there
In
are a lot of
general.
people that get energized from closing the deal or
Of
helping
course.
somebody or just,
Of course, so the important thing is that whatever things give you energy, do more of those things. So if somebody gets their energy from different pieces of the job, that's awesome. They should be putting that into their calendar to do more of that. I'm not trying to say you should only be doing certain things. I'm trying to say, get to know yourself, make a list of these are the things that drain me, these are the things that re-energize me, limit these, and do more of these. If you're somebody, there were a couple people in my old office who loved cold calling. They were so good at it, and it energized them, and that was great. And they just, do more of that. That works for you. If that's not your thing, then find something else, do it consistently.
So maybe the people that are struggling with taking the time off, put limits on only the things that energize them during that time. If they're not gonna limit it and say, I'm totally on vacation or I'm totally on the day off, maybe they only choose to respond to the things that, the types of activities that energize them versus the ones that drain them.
Yes, exactly. And it's not gonna look like everyone else's
Right.
thing, so it's more about self-awareness than anything, and then taking action around that and not comparing one to another. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Alright, so, how are we doing on time? Okay, we're good. So let's talk it out. What is one thing that you learned today that you're going to implement going forward?
Well, I guess I have a bedtime.
You do? Yeah. We're gonna have to make sure that's,
Leveraging others to, you know, as you were mentioning, you were showing this far away. You know, I never think of that. Yeah, no, drive an hour and a half.
right.
And then fight traffic home.
Yeah, even if you have the time, what's your time worth? I mean, it might be worth however much you pay someone, $25, $30, whatever, to have them do it. Cause if it's an hour and a half away, you're
It's
like
4 hours.
3.5 hours, yeah.
It's 4 hours.
That's
And
your-
if they don't buy it,
4 hours of
And if
your
they
life.
if they don't buy it,
right.
that was a waste.
So it might be good to call somebody who's, you know, maybe a little less busy or just is closer physically, they live in that town, whatever, and call them. So it can be a win-win, that's a good one. Anyone else?
I've
wanna
always
share?
balanced it out with the one-first, you know, that we drive like the king, show the guy one, light him up, done, right,
That's
one and
okay.
done. So that's how I've justified that
Mhm.
thus far. But paying someone else, that's pretty awesome, just a flat fee.
Yeah.
And I've done it for other people, which is what's weird, that I don't recall it, but that's my favorite.
Oh, I'm
No,
glad.
no.
Good, that's a good one.
What are you gonna lay that at, that show?
Where? Wellesley?
Well,
I'll go to Wellesley for it. Plymouth.
all right, anyone else wanna share what their takeaway is? Or any questions? Yes.
Well, I like that you emphasize, if you don't like cold calling, there are other things that you can do, and then you should do those things, like, make that your thing,
Yeah.
own it,
Own it.
I love that.
Own it, and whatever the thing is, there are people out there doing that thing at a high level. You might not know them, but you can reach out to them, you can follow them on Facebook, you can copy what they do.
I think, you know, the takeaway too is, do something.
Right.
Everything works.
Yeah.
Everything works, even when you do nothing, that works too. You get nothing.
You get
But if you
nothing.
do something, you get something. And if you do something at a high level, you're performing at a high level and you're getting paid at a high level. I love that.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. There was a guy at a conference a couple years ago who had a class just on Facebook and using Facebook lists, which I didn't even know that was a thing.
Facebook what?
Lists.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It's a thing. You
What
can
is it?
go on Facebook and create a list. It's on the left-hand side. You kind of have to search for it. You have to look closely because it's kind of a small button. But instead of a group, it's a list. So you can create a list of all your clients or everyone in a certain town. And what happens is then you can post to just that list.
Oh.
So instead of posting and everyone sees it, just the people in that list see it. But it's not in a group, so they don't know that they're being targeted. So this kid, I call him a kid, he was probably in his 20s. He had built this huge business just utilizing that. And he had one for like all his clients who had dogs and all the people who had kids, and he'd post different content for those people. It's really interesting. And there's no, because they don't know what's happening, so there's no like opt-in, opt-out. They could unfollow you, but that's the worst they could do. So,
Is there a fee for that?
oh no, just a thing on Facebook. The
But
point
it's
is,
your
this
people
is-
that you're connected to, right?
Yeah, you already have to be friends with them.
Mhm.
But the point is, something just as silly and small as that could create a huge business if you do it at a high level. I love that example, cause I didn't even know that was a thing. So,
That's my takeaway, I didn't even.
Yeah.
well, there you go.
No, I got a lot of takeaways, I
That's
got a
good.
lot, but,
That's
but
good.
that's,
That's a good
that's
one.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's something definitely to explore. If you guys want to text me, I'd love to hold you accountable. Text me or text John once you've implemented your one thing, not after 10. Bad. If you do send me a text, make sure to tell me who you are, please. So I don't get a bunch of texts from people I don't know.
Everybody tonight,
Midnight.
text her and tell her Brad.
Joke's on you, I already have Brad's number in my phone. Oh no. So, yeah, feel free to text me, let me know that you did your thing. I'll be proud of you. Most people don't do that, so if you do, you're one of the few. And then, let's keep it going. So, I'm happy to talk with anyone if you want to chat after this, or if you want to set up a call with me, you can do that. I'm around. You don't have any last questions or thoughts, or that's all I got.
So we have a coaching program that goes along with this?
I do, yes.
So you're not going to speak to that today, would that be contact you for that?
I can if you want to. I just don't want to sell you guys on anything because I don't like when people do that to me. But so basically, I offer one-on-one coaching and group coaching.
So we just contact you on the information up there, or
Mhm.
just in that?
Yep.
And there are details on your website too.
There are details on my website. So let's talk with you about all that stuff.
I guess my takeaway was that, like you said, there's lots of different ways to get business. It's about what you enjoy the most.
Really enjoy the most.
Yeah, so, like, it's not that, like you said, like cold calling, it's not always comfortable. You know, there might be someone that really enjoys building relationships, like the one-on-ones, like the networking, and that might be, I know networking can be a great source of business. That might be, for example, just an example of another path you could go down.
Definitely, and that's how I built my business, was through meeting people at networking events and then taking those people I met and having one-to-one conversations with them and building relationships. So it can take a little longer, it doesn't have to. But it was amazing because I would meet these people and all of a sudden, I just met them. I go to like a Chamber of Commerce event, and I'd be talking to someone for 5 minutes and we click, and then they're like, oh, I can't wait to like send you a referral. I can't wait to find somebody to send you because I think you're awesome. And then they'll send me a referral. I'm like, you don't know me. It could be awful, but it doesn't matter. It's about the connection that you have with these people. It's so much, I found it to be a lot easier to do it that way than to just be on the phone because I'm better in person than on the phone. So you're right, you have to be, whatever the thing is, you're going to be doing it for a good chunk of your business life, your work day. So why not pick something that you enjoy? Not always going to enjoy it, but if you at least enjoy it, 60-70% of the time, do that thing. Cool. Yeah, that's all I got, you guys.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good job.
I'm so happy
Thank you.
that I got to be here. Oh, if you have a chance, I did put out some feedback forms. If you wouldn't mind filling those out for me too. That would be great.
Our goal today is to get 3 video testimonials from 3 people that we can give to Ashley to help her with her business, because she has helped you with your business, so in return, I think it would be nice for us to help her with her business by offering her a video testimonial. So
Thank you.
I'm going to just be over there with the camera, and all you have to do is take your one takeaway that you had today. Just give me 1 or 2 sentences, and that would be awesome.
Thank you, John. You guys are awesome.
Not mandatory, but highly appreciated and encouraged.
That would be great. The goal is to take this to as many places as I can, and also create like a full one-day workshop with it.
Yes.
Anticipate